Paddy Clarke Ha 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 by Roddy Doyle, read by Aidan Gillen. We were coming down our road. Kevin stopped at a gate and bashed it with his stick. It was Mrs. Quigley's gate. She was always looking out the window, but she never did anything. Quigley! Quigley! Quigley, Quigley, Quigley! Liam and Aidan turned down their cul-de-sac. We said nothing, they said nothing. Liam and Aidan had a dead mother. Mrs. O'Connell was her name. It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? I said. Yeah, said Kevin. Cool. We were talking about having a dead ma. Sinbad, my little brother, started crying. Liam was in my class in school. He dirtied his trousers one day. The smell of it rushed at us like the blast of heat when an oven door was opened. And the master did nothing. He didn't shout or slam his desk with his letter or anything. He told us to fold our arms and go asleep, and when we did, he carried Liam out of the class. He didn't come back for ages, and Liam didn't come back at all. James O'Keefe whispered, "If I did a gick in me pants, he'd kill me." Yeah. "It's not fair," said James O'Keefe. So it's not. The master, Mr. Hennessy, hated James O'Keefe. He'd be writing something on the board with his back to us, and he'd say, "O'Keefe, I know you're up to something down there. Don't let me catch you." He said it one morning, and James O'Keefe wasn't even in. He was at home with the mumps. Henno brought Liam to the teacher's toilet and cleaned him up, and then he brought him to the headmaster's office, and the headmaster brought him to his auntie's in his car, because there was no one at home in his own house. Liam's auntie's house was in Raheny. "He used up 2 rolls of toilet paper," Liam told us, "and he gave me a shilling." "He did not. Show us it." "There." "That's only 3p. I spent the rest," said Liam. He got the remains of a packet of toffee out of his pocket and showed it to us. "There," he said. "Give us one." "There's only 4 left," said Liam. He was putting the packet back in his pocket. "Ah," said Kevin. He pushed Liam. Liam went home. Today we were coming home from the building site. We'd got a load of 6-inch nails and a few bits of plank for making boats, and we'd been pushing bricks into a trench full of wet cement when Aidan started running away. We could hear his asthma, and we all ran as well. We were being chased. I had to wait for Sinbad. I looked back and there was no one after us, but I didn't say anything. I grabbed Sinbad's hand and ran and caught up with the rest of them. We stopped when we got out of the fields onto the end of the road. We laughed. We roared through the gap in the hedge. We got into the gap to look to see if there was anyone coming to get us. Sinbad's sleeve was caught in the thorns. "The man's coming," said Kevin, and he slid through the gap. We left Sinbad stuck in the hedge and pretended we'd run away. We heard him snivelling. We crouched behind the gate pillars of the last house before the road stopped at the hedge, O'Driscoll's. "Patrick," Sinbad whinged. "Sinbad!" said Kevin. Aidan had his knuckles in his mouth. Liam threw a stone at the hedge. "I'm telling Mammy," said Sinbad. I gave up. I got Sinbad out of the hedge to make him wipe his nose on me sleeve. We were going home for our dinner, shepherd's pie on Tuesday. Liam and Aidan's da howled at the moon. Late at night, in his back garden. Not every night, only sometimes. I'd never heard him, but Kevin said he had. Me ma said he did it because he missed his wife. Mrs. O'Connell. That's right. Me da agreed with her. "He's grieving," said my mother. "The poor man." Kevin's father said that Mr. O'Connell howled because he was drunk. He never called him Mr. O'Connell. He called him the Tinker. "Will you look who's talking?" said me mother when I told her that. And then she said, "Don't listen to him, Patrick. He's codding you. Sure, where would you get drunk? There's no pubs in Barrytown." "There's 3 in Raheny," I said. "That's miles away," she said. "Poor Mr. O'Connell. No more talk about it." Kevin told Liam that he saw his dad looking up at the moon and howling like a werewolf. Liam said that he was a liar. Kevin dared him to say that again, but he didn't. Our dinner wasn't ready, and Sinbad had left one of his shoes back in the building site. We'd been told never to play there, so he told our ma that he didn't know where it was. She smacked the back of his legs. She held onto his arm, but he still kept ahead of her, so she wasn't really getting him properly. He still cried though, and she stopped. Sinbad was a great crier. "You're costing me a blessed fortune," she told Sinbad. She was nearly crying as well. She said we'd have to go out and find the shoe after dinner, the both of us, because I was supposed to have been looking after him. We'd have to go out in the dark, through the gap, over the fields, into the muck and the trenches and the watchmen. She told us to wash our hands. I closed the bathroom door and I got Sinbad back for it. I gave him a dead leg. I had to keep an eye on Deirdre in the pram while our ma put clean socks.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?